I can't tell if these are dreams or thoughts. If they're thoughts, then we know all this actually happened. But if they're dreams, then all this bantha writing is just padding the runtime of the TV show playing in Boba's head.
Nope, they're dreams about what actually happened. You're acting like that's not an option, but you're stupid.
These bones here are actually from the bantha we saw killed a couple episodes ago. How'd they decompose so quickly? Well, it's actually because we've been watching Fett stomp through the desert for over 1,000 years.
Discount Jeremy continues sending the phenomenal storytelling of Boba's backstory. Man, these videos have gotten shitty.
This show made me use the phrase straight to the back of the throat in reference to Mr. Snuffleupagus, and it's going to take a while for me to unpack that.
This sin was meant as a joke, but anyone who laughed at it must be possessed, cause it wasn't funny in the slightest.
So if you haven't seen the Mandalorian episode where this all plays out, then you don't know that an entire day has passed and that Finnick has been lying here dying for a very long time, which justifies Boba taking her to Mr. Roboto for emergency health care as opposed to a licensed physician.
Hey, Aaron, do you want to try to find a licensed physician in the middle of a desert with the clock running out on Fennec's life? Yeah, didn't think so.
And since this is all shit that took place during The Mandalorian, I'm setting everything up until this point as a previously on.
Discount Jeremy hates previously on segments cliche.
Someone's definitely wanting us to compare this mod parlor to a tattoo parlor, but never explains the implication of a lower back modification, or the function of an upper back modification.
What the hell? This is what I mean when I say that the TV Sins writers just randomly say words and count them as sins. This sin made no sense, but their fans eat it up anyway.
This woman is about to die.
Well, you should have started with that.
Show wants us to think that services would not have been rendered had this undisclosed amount of money not been dropped on the bench. But Fett literally led with,
She needs modification.
instead of saying something like, holy shit, her insides are on the outside, please, someone help!
Okay, the first part of this sin is dumb because he's complaining about the fact that they would have done the mods even without the extra money and the statement that Fennec is dying. The reason they dropped their other work to help Fennec is because of the money, so she would have died if Boba hadn't done this. And second, the back half of this sin was him complaining about Boba not running in yelling about how Fennec is about to die, which is essentially complaining about Boba staying in character. You see why that's dumb?
This robotification mod's on for so much of the sometime that I began to question my own dependence on technology and now wonder if I'm already a cyborg.
I'm starting to think that any scene longer than 30 seconds will get a sin from these people because they have the combined attention span of a toddler with ADHD.
Aren't you gonna close her up?
Cover all that beautiful machinery.
It might be considerably less beautiful to the person who's expecting an actual abdomen above their legs, as opposed to a new branch of Cyberdyne Industries.
So this sin really didn't have a logical point to it, but I'm actually going to focus on the fact that you missed the real sin here. The real sin is that Boba is totally fine with Fennec's mods being left uncovered, despite them literally being on a desert planet with sand all around them.
Take the black melon. Will help you recover.
Or help her rust. Finnick just had most of her innards replaced with pistons, and this war boy's offering aqua-cola instead of guzzling.
I think it's safe to assume that, in a world with super advanced technology and science, there's some kind of something that would prevent rusting.
Help me recover my Firespray gunship.
Seems safe to assume that the creators don't want to use the name of Boba's ship here, and I get and respect this decision.
Let me stop you right there. The decision to call the Slave One the Firespray was incredibly stupid. I know that a bunch of idiots think the name is racist, but that doesn't mean they're right. The name Slave One has nothing to do with real-life slavery at all. Besides, historical slavery has not solely targeted American minority races. Almost every race and creed has been enslaved or in servitude at some point in world history. From now on, anytime he refers to the Slave One as the Firespray, he's getting 10 sins.
If the ship is yours, why don't you just ask for it back?
Because I might not like the answer.
This response does not preclude the possibility of asking first. Then, if you don't like the answer, you can proceed with your planned Boba-branded bloodbath.
Right, but if he asks first and they say no, he'll lose the element of surprise because they'll be expecting him to attack. This way, they have no idea that he's planning this heist.
With no instructions, the surveillance drone knows immediately where to go and which building it needs to take measurements of.
Or, and hear me out because I'm basically about to explain the meaning of life and human existence, Fennec could be controlling the drone remotely.
I'm tired of working for idiots who are gonna get me killed.
My reaction to reading another questionable script from the new TV Sins writer somehow makes it into the episode.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
People like us don't get to decide when we're finished.
Badass loner statement based on no empirical evidence whatsoever. Cliché.
Yeah, at this point I feel like the TV Sins writers are just fucking with me because they have to know that this isn't what the word cliché means.
I'm going to take a guess there aren't a huge amount of these convenient grates, so why wouldn't one of these few hundred guards be, oh, I don't know, guarding it?
Maybe because it's a drain and you don't typically guard a drain?
Whoever put this scene together thought it was funny to have the rat catcher singe its poor little robo-taint running through a fire pit in a desperate attempt to escape a murderous Boba Fett. The sin here is failure to mind the gap.
A whole bunch of bullshit.
Pew-pews, pew-pews, pew-pews. Excitement.
Discount Jeremy hates action scenes cliche.
What is this droid? Why does it explode so readily?
It's called a gonk droid, and they're basically fuel droids, which is why it explodes so easily. This would have taken you a solid 30 seconds to look up, but I guess forcing a dump scene out of it is better.
Multiple murders.
I'll wait here while you explain to us why that's a sin. Oh, you don't have a reason? Okay.
Putting your Firespray gunship this close to the desert sphincter.
Calling the Slave 1 the Firespray.
Congratulations, Master Fett. You are completely healed.
What about the scars on the inside?
With all due respect to the trauma Boba's experienced, we were all thinking, what about the scars on his face? Sure, it'd have been kind of cruel of Finnick to say that, but she's a former assassin and he's a former bounty hunter. These are cruel people, or at least have claimed the experience on their resumes.
Alright, this video has devolved into Discount Jeremy saying random sentences and counting them as sins because he can't think of any actual sins.
You were a legend. In the name, Chrysanthemum drew crowds by the thousands.
Wow, this exposition about Ted's past really drew me in. Apparently, it really drew Boba Fett in to the building, because other than acquiring this information, the show hasn't given any reason for him to be here right now.
How fortunate that the editors cut out the end of this scene. Boba came to the bar to hire Chrysanthemum. You don't need to lie to us, Aaron.
Hit it, Max.
We've had a veritable plethora of exotic names like Flip, Finnick, Garfalaquox, Ted, and Lortha Peel. But one of these two is just called f***ing Max?
Complaining about Max Rebo. That's worth this many sins.
Jabba the Hutt once sat upon that throne. And then, Bib Fortuna took his place.
As someone who regularly watches shows out of order, I refuse to be tamed. I get that this backstory delivered through exposition can be helpful for people not familiar with the broader franchise, but that doesn't make it okay.
Discount Jeremy complains about exposition cliche. Yeah, that one feels justified.